could go back at it again. Don't need to be in love to have a little romance. Sing it on the spot, so watch the crowd dance. And even if they're petrified, I hear their hearts prance. And I can be free from my tyranny. Lift up my emotions, they're closing and moaning, don't play on repeat.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to a special edition of the Still Talking Podcast, episode 10. Thank you for being here. We are here. We are going to jump into Discord here in a second with Dennis, and I'm not sure if Greenfly can make it tonight, but we will see how it goes. But here we go. Hello, hello. Alright. I think Dennis left, and I see my thing lighting up, so I should be able to be heard.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yay! Professional.
Professional.
Okay, hold on now. Alright. So.
Bill, man.
Hi.
Also, always amazing to hear your voice on a Wednesday night, sir.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I will say I know Doman has actually been off, not off of Twitch, of course, but taking some time off from the Still Talking podcast. So I am eternally grateful that you're here tonight for this special edition.
Oh, for sure.
Pretty sure you already know what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the warning in the headline, mature audience, viewer discretion. First thing, I'm gonna take about 4 to 5 minutes for a quick opening statement, if that's okay.
Absolutely. The floor is all yours, Dennis.
So, I do not claim a political party. I vote for who I believe is the best candidate, who is the best person. So with everything I'm about to say, I need to say that because I'm not talking from a slant. I'm not talking from an affiliation in any way, shape, or form. Today, after having time to think about and see what has happened, what has transpired over the last 24 hours, I am extremely ashamed of the elected officials who represent this country and represent myself. I am disgusted to think that tragedy like this could potentially have been avoided. I understand tragedies happen all around the world every single day. But if it's something could be avoided or made even harder to accomplish, then I feel like that's a responsibility as a civilian of this country. I'm speaking as elected officials, should have that personal responsibility to make sure it happens. I have elementary school kids myself, 7-year-old, and I have twins who are 4. They'll be starting school next year with my 7-year-old. I said you, buddy. Sorry, I apologize for the interruption. So this hits really home. This hits home really hard for me, and if any parent ever hears this from Uvalde, first I want to very much say that I am truly, truly sorry for your loss. As a parent, I can't imagine what you're going through. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now. I would never wish this on my worst enemy, losing a child. But when will enough be enough? What is it going to take when will it finally be a time that we can say, you know what, something has to change? From the side of politicians who are too proud or too bought to be able to pass a law. I do not want anyone to have any of their guns taken away from them. I 100% support bearing arms. Bear all the arms you want and can afford. I do support also background checks and mental health screenings before a gun can be purchased. Now, will a law completely stop it from happening? Absolutely not. I live in Wichita, Kansas, and I know exactly where I can go to get a gun without showing any ID to get one. So I'm not saying that this will stop everything, but it is a step in a direction that needs to be taken. If I were president at this very moment, after yesterday, the first thing I would have done after addressing the nation, I would have called a mandatory hearing with every single elected senator and representative in DC for a meeting today. And I would rip every single one of them a new asshole. I apologize for the language. This is on every single one of them. I blame every single elected official. This is on them. These 18 children, elementary school children, every single death is on them because they are too much full of themselves to put their own agenda to the side to pass a law that could benefit children's lives. Every single elected official from President Biden down to Mitch McConnell to AOC, any Ohio representatives, Kansas representatives, any representative here in the United States, it is their responsibility. This shooting was on them, 100%. The second thing I would have done, and this is something, Doman, I want you to chime in as well. There needs to be an executive order immediately creating a new department under the Department of Justice, specifically for school safety. What would happen in that new department is it would assign funds and employees, federal employees, to every single school in America. They will be trained and they will be armed. That guns are not the problem. Let me be very clear. Guns are not the problem. It is the people who use the gun for evil is the problem. But if we are not going to do anything about the weapon they use, then me as a protective parent say, then use the weapons they use for hurt, use it against them. If we put an armed person in every single school in America, I'm telling you it will deter or at least help better combat any school shooting. 18 children under the age of 10 years old were murdered yesterday, as well as, I believe, three other, or if not three, two teachers.
Yeah, there's two teachers. Yeah, I mean, I'm not obviously going to disagree with you. I have a different stance, slightly. I also agree that our elected officials are held responsible for this. They talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk because they don't want to vote on one specific issue.
Yep.
They want to throw in, well, if you give us this, then we're going to put this for infrastructure and this for this. Like, they don't want to take it head on of what the
Yep.
issue is. I don't personally believe in a society, I guess would be the word, where there is an armed guard at every school. Because as unfortunate as it is that these are children, and I understand that, where does it stop? Do you have an armed guard at every business, at every factory? I don't think adding more guns to the issue, because if I'm not mistaken, there was an armed guard at that school, and they could not take him down. They had to wait for a tactical, because of conflicting reports, body armor, Kevlar, whatever it was,
Sure.
that they had to wait for a tactical force to show up. So they did have a licensed armed security at the school, and this still happened, which is very, I don't want to say, I don't know what you do. I don't believe putting more guns is the issue. I mean, I think what you touched on early with the screenings and stuff like that goes without saying. But I don't know, man. Like, if you put more guns in, I don't know if that is the answer. But I understand what you're saying. Like, over the last 24 hours, you've heard that all teachers should be armed and this and that. No, they should be teaching.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I don't, because I'll be very honest. Listen, in that same vein, you're right. Because guess what? Not all teachers are good teachers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't, there are certain teachers, even going through middle school, high school, I can know right now in my mind, I wouldn't want them to have access to a gun. You know what I'm saying? The way that they would snap and go off on us as students, I wouldn't want that person near a gun. I've heard that theory as well. Not the theory, but I've heard that thought put around as well. Hey, armed teachers. I wouldn't arm every single teacher. I don't even know if I would arm a single teacher, to be honest.
Right.
Just because you hit the nail on the head perfectly. They should be educating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, teachers shouldn't have to worry about that. And we've touched on this a couple times, honestly, during the Still Talking podcast, in previous episodes. Like, kids these days, I know it's a generalization, but they shouldn't have. They should not have to. They shouldn't have to go through and go to school and be worried about stuff like that.
Agreed. 100%. I had to talk to my 7-year-old last night because the question came up: what happens if someone brings a gun to my school?
Right. 7
years old.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and having active shooter drills and stuff like that. That's
yeah.
Like I said, I wholeheartedly, I know where you're coming from. You know, having kids and stuff like that. I respect that. And I think you hit the nail on the head at the beginning of it. I'm not going to say I disagree with you towards the middle and the end of it, but I don't know, and that's the worst part. I don't know what the answer is.
Very good.
You know, I don't know.
Here's where I feel the worst about it, because we're going to talk about for the next. I mean, when I say we're going to talk about, we're going to hear in the media talk about gun control, gun violence today and tomorrow. But do you know what happens on Friday at 12 o'clock in Houston, Texas?
No.
The biggest, the largest conference the NRA holds all year. And about every politician has received an invitation. And there will be politicians that will show up there in support of them because all they care about is lining their own pockets and pushing agendas that make them the most money.
Right. No, I 100% agree with that. We're in a time right now where we don't do shit. Our elected officials have an opportunity to make a change, or at least attempt to make a change or a stance. Because when you have full control of everything, from the presidency to the Congress to the Senate, this is the only shot if you want to make a change. I don't know what the change is, but if you want to make a change at it, and actually something that's worthwhile to it.
Yes.
You know,
not just a short-term fix.
Right.
What could benefit generations? Now, the thing I love about our Constitution, even our founding fathers even called it that. They didn't call it laws. They called it a living organism, right? Something that can be changed and molded and moved depending on what would be needed throughout time, right?
Right.
So again, I support the Second Amendment. I do.
I agree to an extent on it.
Like, but bear your arms. But understand the time that it was written. It was written in the 1700s. When there was no police, there was no real army, there was no military. It was militia who were fighting against tyranny from a country controlling them across the ocean, right?
Right.
So it was written in a time when it was literally speaking of self-defense, right? You have the right to bear arms against your oppressor. Who is oppressing you right now in 2022 that you, again, listen, I don't want to take anyone's gun away. I truly do not. But in 2022, who is oppressing you to the point to where you need a small army's worth of ammunition and weapons in your home?
Right. And the flip side of that is the people that say, well, who's telling me that I can't have that? Well, society should tell you that. These incidents, this incident that happened in Texas, the incident at Sandy Hook, those are the incidents that should tell you that maybe because of the irresponsibility of others, once again, I'm with you. I don't want to take anybody's guns, but I don't know if you need to that the founding fathers thought that you should have a automatic or semi-automatic AK.
Sure. Right. Because when they wrote this law, we're talking about muskets.
Right.
With bayonets. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about a semi-automatic or fully automatic. There were no Glock 9mm in 1700. You know what I'm saying? Smith and Wesson? Who is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And again, I understand, just like any other law, if you make something illegal, people will find a way to get it. I'm not stupid. I get that 100%.
Well, that's why. I mean, I'll go to chat here. Crazy is got a couple comments here about the Constitution does need an update. Common sense gun laws, mandatory background checks, mandatory registrations, but that mandatory number of hours of training, of course.
Yep.
But that goes back to what you're saying. You can still get it. What you need is harsher penalties.
Yeah.
For the possession of an illegal firearm.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And here's really the sad thing too is we don't know that until unfortunately after the fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, right? So this kid. So I'm not even gonna say this person's name because, in my opinion, he's not worth even saying. But this guy turned 18 years old and went and bought weapons from a Dick's Sporting Goods in Texas. A Dick's Sporting Goods at 18 years old. The day he turned 18 years old, he went and bought 2 guns from Dick's Sporting Goods.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not against an 18-year-old owning a gun. I know there's been conversations where, you should be 21, you should be 24, you should be 25 to be able to buy a gun.
Sure.
But
Right.
it goes back to the drinking, and it goes back to the army and stuff like that. If you can fight for your country at the age of 18, then you should be able to do other stuff.
You can't rent a damn car until you're 25.
Correct.
You can own a gun in this country before you can rent a car.
Correct.
I'm sorry. That I don't care how good we are at the Olympics. I don't care how smart we are. I don't care where our education numbers are. That is bleeping embarrassing.
Right. No, I agree. And like I said, I mean, I don't have a problem with it being 18.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should be able to fight for your country at 18. So if in my world you bump that age up, then everything else gets bumped up.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I'll go back to chat here real quick. Common sense laws would reduce school shootings to pretty much nil, as you see around the country, around the world.
Of the world, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was reading the story about, I think it was maybe 26 years ago. There was a shooting in Australia in a school. They immediately passed a gun law. There hasn't been a school shooting since then. Whether it's correct or not, I did not fact check it, but I saw that. I saw it on multiple sites.
Yeah.
So once again,
I believe that as well. Yes.
Yep. I didn't fact check it. So yeah, it makes sense. We'll still have crime, but the typical school shooter isn't a career criminal. They're troubled youth. That's also true. Once again, if somebody wants to do harm to somebody, they're going to figure out how to.
Absolutely, and that's where this came to. And I actually retweeted something because I was extremely sickened when I read it. There was a website reported that the shooter was severely bullied. Right?
I saw this and I saw your retweet. Yes.
And here's exactly what I said. Let me pull up my tweet because it truly disgusted me.
Well, while you're pulling that up, just the little background of it, he was bullied because, according to the bullying, that he was not very wealthy. He was poor. Yeah. As he's taking a picture of himself with an iPhone
13 Pro Max.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Bring him in. The tweet. I'm gonna read the tweet very quickly here. The tweet that I retweeted. If you were this is in response directly to he was bullied at school, right? If you were bullied at school, I'm not justifying shooting up any school, but if you were bullied at school, then why shoot up an elementary school? Nobody bullied him there. Don't try and make us sympathize with this domestic terrorist.
Right. Crazy. When you have time, just jump into the Among Us chat. We'll pull you in.
But crazy. I mean, I think we're all fundamentally agreeing on the exact same thing that you're saying. Fundamentally, I think we're all in the exact same mental headspace. Because there is a change that needs to happen. I know I made suggestions. Domain, you're humble enough to say I don't know the suggestion. But I know we're at a point where something has to change. Because, again, 18 children. under the age of 10.
Right.
That's
Right.
not acceptable.
Oh yeah.
Even one is unacceptable, right? And I'll point to even I know this is not school shooting, but the city of Chicago, the city of Washington D.C. There is more gun violence in those cities than any other, almost the entire country combined. And a lot of those victims are young children.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you, Crazy. Yes.
You can go on. I just wanted to do it.
No, no. That was the end of my point. It's would really. I mean, again, any child. Now again, I don't want any person to become victim of this, but specifically a child. They've done nothing wrong.
For sure. But when you talk about gun violence and shootings, you also can't throw it into one big pile of shit. You know what I mean? Like there's career criminals, there's troubled youth, there's adults shooting adults, there's kids shooting kids. Like there's not a fix-all solution that I don't know if left thinks there is, but there isn't. Like you have to weigh into it little by little and fix more and get more appropriate fixes as you weigh into it. And
Sure.
I feel like people think that you just take your fucking clothes off and jump in the pool and everything's fixed.
You're exactly right. No, because it's not a Band-Aid that fix all. You're 100% correct.
And that's why all these
yeah.
arguments come up. It's like, because I got guns, I own an AR, I own a fucking 9mm, like I own multiple guns. I would have no problem going and just starting somewhere, and I have to go get me a license every, I don't know, 5 years. They do a background check when I gotta buy a gun. I have to wait 24 hours. Whatever. Are criminals still going to get guns? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm not dumb. I understand that. But is this 18-year-old that just shot these fucking kids up going to get that gun? Probably not.
Probably not. You're exactly right, Crazy. Going back to your point, there's not a cover-all Band-Aid, right? There's not a one-size-fits-all law for this. What I specifically for me, and only because I got young kids, my direct knee-jerk reaction is school violence, right?
Right, obviously, which is
yeah. So you're 100% right. You can't throw gun violence into a giant melting pot
right. More
of
guns.
Of X solution. You know what I'm saying? Like you're 1,000,000% right.
For sure.
My whole I guess beating the drum argument today is specifically school violence. You know,
Yeah.
We can talk about another
Come
time.
down
You know,
on them kids harder. Is that what you're saying?
right? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like the bullying.
yeah, I mean, whether it's the bullying, whether it's, I know we had, probably a bad decision to bring in Hector because it was not productive, but,
Yeah.
but find out, like, talk to them, find out what is going. I heard I think it was Charles Barkley said it last night. I can't quote him word for word, but he said we need to find out what is causing these young men or young women, what is happening to them to make them believe this is the resolution that's going to fix their anger, the anger they're trying to lash out. What is it exactly, right? If we can address the root cause, can we fix the problem? Right? I mean, that's, and again, just using,
there's a spectrum of things. You know what I mean? Like there's no just all these people did it because of blah. You know what I mean? It's like
Sure.
It's a living spectrum of what has went down or conspired, and then we get into the people want to point out and say, oh, gun violence is way worse now than what it was 20 years ago, and it really isn't. We've just have the internet now, and it's readily available to spread
Yep.
across the planet.
Yep.
Like this has been an issue because I've looked into it. I argue with people about points like this for fun. I know not fun like
Yeah.
like
yeah,
haha people died, but
it passes your time. Yeah, pass the time.
I enjoy a good debate, and I'm always
Absolutely.
on the side of we need some type of a gun reform.
Right. And I think that's what the problem is oh well, we've done this for 20 years and this and that, and nothing has changed. There hasn't been any
Right.
changes. You know,
Oh,
we're
one
gonna
side
talk about
thinks-
this. We're gonna have prayers and thoughts and
Right.
things like that this
And we
time,
go right back.
and go right back to it. Hopefully, as Dennis said, actually, as you said, we have the internet now, stuff like that. Hopefully, that pushes. Hopefully, there's enough people with influence that push the elected officials to make some sort of change or make something. Do something.
Yeah. Right,
Like-
and that was my second point too. I'm so sorry not to cut you off there, but
No,
that was
you're
my
fine.
second point. I hold them responsible because they're the ones who are arguing and bickering, exactly like you said. Hey, we'll pass this law, but I want to slide in, or I want this bill pushed, but I'm
Right.
going to
More
slide
stuff.
in this XYZ that has nothing to do with what we're talking about
Yeah.
with the bill. Underhandedly, it's very shady.
That's
Very
another
shady
thing
politics.
that I wanted to get
And-
into.
Right. I
and
talked
because
about that earlier.
and again, like I said, I'm not picking either side, right,
Right.
or left, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. I don't care, right? Because it's more than a party issue. It's now a human issue, right? And because you can't see past your party,
Right.
that is where we're failing the American people, right?
Yeah,
That
politics is coming into like rooting for your sports team, for lack of better terms.
Right.
100%. That's the best analogy I've heard all day. Crazy. You're 100% right. It's like rooting for the Patriots, even though the Patriots are XYZ, right?
Right.
Or here you go, the Houston Astros sign stealing, right?
Yeah.
I'm still, I know they stole signs and got caught. I'm still cheering for them. That's
For
what
sure.
politics is like right now.
Like we're not holding anybody responsible for their downfalls, but we're still going
Right.
back. We just ain't trying to talk about it when they do a downfall, but as soon as they do something good, it's like, yeah, you
Right.
know what I mean? And it's like, so what we end up doing is we end up losing our any type of progression to the politics because it's
Yep.
like, or it's like, I'm gonna use like these. Now the left is going to be saying, "Oh, you're not pro-life now." It's like, what does pro-life have anything to do with this issue? Like, this
You're
is a gun
exactly
issue.
right.
Stop molding it. Stop trying to make your argument against guns a whole.
Agenda.
Abortion is a different issue. Like, we need to deal with that too. Stop. Like, you see what I'm saying? They're trying to clay it all into
Absolutely.
like, this is how I defend myself against this, and
And how disgusting is it that you would use an example of 18 children being murdered to tie into your abortion agenda? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what side you're on, right?
Right.
I'm not saying either side or anything like that, but how disgusting is that?
I'm just
You know
saying,
what I'm saying?
it muddies it all up. No matter
Yeah.
what your stance is, if that's the push you push, and if that's your argument to, for instance, me on Facebook when I'm trying to debate you about it, and you go, well, you're blowed now, and I'm like, that's not even. If you want to talk about this issue, let's talk about this issue. Stop bringing
Right.
the other issues along.
Right. No, I
Doman,
that's what-
hop in. I want to hear you, Doman.
No, that's fine. I mean, you guys are saying exactly what I said when I said that, like, just yes, infrastructure is important. All these other things, just take all the crap out, but come up with something
agree.
meaningful. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Work together. Like,
I mean-
these people need to start working together.
like one of the lines from a favorite movie of mine. Yes, a movie. The American President. Like, basically, come up with a gun law that makes sense. That a 8-year-old can't go buy a freaking automatic tank. Like, okay,
Right.
yes, understood, but make something that makes sense. Like,
For sure.
and that's kind of where I was a little bit different than Dennis. I don't think more guns and more people with guns is the solution.
mean-
I'm not trying to take your guns. I keep saying that. I'm not trying, but as much as I'm going to say this comment, it's a person that comes back at me always says this. Well, I'm going to say, what do you need 10,000 rounds of automatic, semi-automatic, bullets and automatic guns. Why do you need that? And they're gonna say, why don't I need that? And that is
Full
that
auto.
to me. That is the first problem.
Full auto's illegal anyway.
I mean, but you can.
But I mean, I get your point.
But you can still buy and mod and stuff. If you don't have the stuff to mod it, well, but then that goes into my second part of that. What I said, it's not just about the law or whatever they come up. Something's got to happen, but it has to be stricter enforcement of it. Like I know our prison systems are overcrowded, and the demographics of minorities too, are outstandingly above the number of people that are in there, like the percentages. But
how many of them people are in there, Bob, because of marijuana charges? You know what I mean? How can we clean this out?
Right. I mean, but don't make
room.
it. It's the same thing as don't put in infrastructure in that bill. Don't make it. Hey, we'll let the people with drug charges out. Now, do I believe that they should be in there? Depends on what the drug charge is. If it's marijuana, then no. But
that's what I was saying with the marijuana.
Yeah, I mean, our prisons are
free
bursting at the seams as they are. So, like, to add more people to them is whatever. But you have to have stricter. You can't have a $1,000 fine and 30 days in jail. You need to have stricter penalties for these, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop it. It's not. It might not happen in my lifetime. It might not happen in your lifetime. Any changes that happen now, but 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years from now, like, maybe it changes.
Well, what the first part, in my opinion, has got to be a small bite out of the cookie. Like, you're trying to take too big of a bite out of the cookie. Just progress is progress, and right now we don't do any progress. We're in this loop of shooting, thoughts and prayers, arguing about it. Shooting, thoughts and prayers, arguing about it. Like,
right. Yeah, just do something.
That's the cycle. You're right. That's a cycle that we see.
Like,
and I know Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, last night was fired up about that, and he's right. He's like, at what point are we going to get tired of thoughts and prayers?
Right.
I'm not.
I agree with them 100%.
And for anyone who is religious, please, I am not belittling your thoughts and prayers in any way, shape, or form. I'm truly not.
Right.
But for those religious, faith without works is dead. Pray, and what are you doing behind it? Right?
Yeah.
What action are we taking
Thoughts
other than thoughts and prayers?
Replaced with an action, a physical,
right?
A movement, progression.
And as civilians, what can we do? We can choose not to re-elect these officials that have their hands in their pockets, shrugging their shoulders like, ooh. You know what I'm saying? That's how we make change. We can then form protests. We can make, force their hands by actually joining together and demanding that a change be done.
And that's where it's crazy, because it's like now we're back to the sports teams again, and it's like trying to get somebody that's that hard onto their sports team, and I don't know, scared of the changes that some gun laws might make, some common sense gun changes might make, or even the opposite. If it's stationing up police officers, or I know everybody's always like, oh, put vets up in there or whatever like that. Even if that's the movement, like the opposing is always too scared to see this movement.
Right. Well, the reason they're so scared is because they end up losing a little bit of what power they think they have.
Right.
Or they lose a little bit they don't want to lose that power, that influence they have by being that first one to cross the line, or quote unquote cross the aisle. You know what I'm saying?
Bend. The word would just be bend.
Bend. Exactly.
They're worried about their re-election. That's what they're worried about.
Yeah.
And then, like, a lot of this is happening in Congress, right? This isn't the president. This is Congress needs. Like, we need to get the freaking Senate and the House. Like, that's where the power is, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's where
100%.
all this is put together.
You're
the president
100% correct.
they just sign it, and I feel like nobody not nobody, but the mass is like puts it all on the president, and I'm like, bro, he isn't going down through checking these boxes and putting these policies in. And
Yep.
it's up to it's up to our
Yeah.
the House and,
And-
Senate put that shit
Right.
together.
And to be clear, that's not just this president. That's pretty much been any president
Everybody, yeah,
anyone
absolutely.
that I've realized since I became an adult and started paying attention to this type of stuff, right? So
For sure.
I'm not saying it's a Biden issue, it's a Trump issue, it's an Obama issue, it's a Bush issue. I'm just naming the guys that were president when
Right.
I've been an adult. But you're 100% right,
It's
Crazy.
before
It's
that.
yeah, oh yeah, even before that, 100%. It's sickening how terrible grown adults can't even come together for the betterment of the people they represent because their agenda is more important.
Yeah, bro. I used to watch a lot of them House debates and shit, and it just gets to the point where they're always like, "Oh, my counterpart on the other side of the aisle," and it's like the first thing that comes out of their mouth when they do a rebuttal, or if that's what you want to call it, is like talking down on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys need to hug the fuck out. And
Yes,
y'all
hug it
supposed to be
out,
working
yes.
together. Like, they're there just for the opposite view. I don't have to agree with your view. That's the
Right.
point of having the two more extremes, so we meet in the middle somewhere.
Yes.
And we work out something together. And I
Yep.
feel like we're way losing that in the House and Senate, and that's why we keep doing this merry-go-round.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I wish Green probably would have been here. I know he had some things come up, but we talked about this last
Yeah,
podcast.
briefly.
Literally last podcast,
Yeah.
because it was the day of the
the Buffalo
shooting.
shooting.
You know,
Yep.
and the number.
And then shortly after that, the church in Southern California.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So literally, in the span of 2 podcasts, which is 10 days apart,
Betting.
we've had
shootings.
3 mass
And-
shootings,
And
that
none
is.
of these people were like careerish criminals, right? These were all like first offenders. Or
I would
whatever?
assume they're first offenders. Yeah.
Essentially, yes. That with no criminal record. Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
assume
yeah.
so. But there's people, and I don't take mental health. I don't
Lightly, yeah.
lightly. I don't take that lightly. But other countries have the same demographics, the same type of things, the same mental health issues and stuff like that. And we had 3 that we know of. I mean, there's probably more, but these are the 3 biggest ones.
Recorded, yeah.
Yeah, the 3
Yeah.
biggest ones. 3 in a 10-day span, and I believe that was more than any other country
Yeah.
up to year to date.
Yeah. We looked it up. Yeah, I think the closest one had like single digits or maybe 10 or 12.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I don't even know if it was that many. I thought it was
It may not have been.
single digits. Like, and we had 3 in 10 days. Like, there are people that have mental health problems all across the world. There are people that, have issues with their job or have issues with other, races, and have
People,
issues with
yeah.
other religions, and have issues with whatever, but they don't happen in those places. Is it because home of the free? I mean, land of the free,
there's-
home of the brave, whatever it is. Is it because we're here and nobody can tell us what to do, and our elected officials are too afraid to make a stance that might cost them their job? Well, because that person didn't make a stance that cost them their job in the last 10 days, 60
40
people.
children have died.
Yeah,
Right.
and that has to change. And I'm with you. There is no big button you can like, okay, this is it,
Right.
boom, and everything just goes back. Everything's good. Like just something. Give me something that says that you're working on this, that you're
Right.
trying to make some sort of change.
Like,
Because
I don't. Go ahead, sorry.
no, I was gonna say, because in my opinion, I obviously you've been around too. You're older and stuff like that. You were an adult when Sandy Hook happened.
Right.
Was I 2003? Let me just double check on the year.
What happened is everybody's just saying it was fake and spoofed, and I think now the one guy's getting sued by the families of it for running his entire podcast and saying how it was all set up.
Right.
And now he's having to pay out millions to them families because he's being proved wrong. So what happens is
2012. So 10 years. What's changed?
nothing.
What? Yeah. Nothing has changed.
Like the victims literally have to fight an uphill battle against ignorance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they're fighting like civil cases and stuff like that.
Right.
They're not even, you might have a group of people that are probably trying to fight for legislation and stuff like that, but we don't hear anything. 10 years. And
But that's the outward ripple that when just your common person just starts talking like it was some big hoax that starts growing, like the ball starts rolling down, you get a snowball down the hill,
right.
and then now it's a big hoax to half the country.
Right. I mean,
maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, how long is it going to be before people think this is a hoax? Like
right. Like,
or it's not necessarily a hoax, but it was set up because they don't want us thinking about Ukraine, and they don't want us thinking about Roe v. Wade, and they don't want us think so that every time something comes up, something else happens, and pay no attention to what's happened to the left hand, because the right hand's over here doing this, and that doesn't mean political or anything, it just means paying no attention to the man behind the curtain type of thing. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that as many times as people say that stuff is manufactured to distract us from the truth. I don't believe that. Do I believe that happens? Maybe, but I don't believe as many times as people say it happens.
Sure, because you know how many people would have to be involved to keep that shit that straight for as long as it stays that straight. Like it's an unfathomable number.
Right.
And what were they saying? The actors, like they had actors going to these. You remember when that thing was a big thing?
For Sandy Hook.
Right.
Yeah. I forget what type of actors they were calling them.
Crisis actors.
Crisis actors. There you go. And
Yep.
It's like, man, like you had these poor kids bringing out their yearbooks and shit to prove that they went to that school. Like, it's like, what are you doing, man?
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, so that's.
But I was gonna say, I don't know. Like Dennis, you obviously take your kids to school and whatever and pick them up. How's the doors on your school? Because when my kid was in school, like all the doors over there are like buzzed in. Like something as little as that. Is that common?
So since COVID, they locked the doors. You do have to buzz in. There's like an intercom system essentially at the front of the school, and that's the only entrance that you can do that at. Otherwise, every single door is locked.
Yeah, right. That's how my kid's school was. While school is in session, all the doors are locked.
Yep.
And then you have to buzz in. So is that a common thing across the nation?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I would think so.
I'm going to say it's not, because I don't even think here in our town, Bob, where I was trying to take Braden into school, I don't think that is... It's got multiple main entrances. His other school was like a littler school. But so when it comes to a bigger school, you're going to have multiple main entrances, which should be buzz-in only. And I don't think they are. And it's like, there is your first baby step, in my opinion.
I will say I know that's for the elementary school that I take my kid to. For the high school, for the high school, it's every door is unlocked.
No, it shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be.
I agree.
There's your first small step in a direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would hope that nobody's gonna, like, the students might be a little annoyed because they can't sneak out the back door to go smoke a cigarette in their car now because it's always locked. But
all right, so
at least you're not going to get shot.
So
know?
So Hector says his school, you just walk in the office, but then there's a door that is locked that separates the office from the classrooms. So that makes a little bit of sense.
What about all the doors, Hector? Like your school has 472 doors that can go outside.
There's probably one door that's unlocked that probably gets you to the office, but then you can't get from the office elsewhere. That would be my assumption of reading how he said that. But that goes back to my point when I first started talking, after Dennis was talking, was we're as tragic as it is because they were kids, and I 100% am behind that. I 100% behind how tragic it is. Where does it end? Is every business that you have to get buzzed into for work? And if I want to go to Walmart, I have to get buzzed in. And if I want to go to, Best Buy, I have to get buzzed in. Like, where?
Yeah,
it's a shame that it happens at school, but school. I mean, we just talked about it. It happened at a church. It happened at a grocery store. So over the span of the last 10 days, yes, one happened at a school. It is a shame because that's our future, and they can't defend themselves. But the people at the church probably couldn't defend themselves. The people just getting milk on a weekend, on a Saturday, couldn't defend themselves. So, do you just have, that's when you said armed guards at schools. Do you have an armed guard at every business?
I mean, it's a living thing, right? Like I said, I would put locks on the schools and buzz in, and then if grocery stores continue to be an issue, then now we have the department that was dealing with schooling. Now we need to start getting that department to focus on public places or something.
Yeah.
Like,
or
you can't just blanket. I don't think you gotta do a blanket fix.
No, and I don't think there is a blanket fix for everything. But I mean, once you start going down one rabbit hole, it's like, okay, yes, it's very tragic, but how does that stop a mass shooting at this place? Or go back a couple years, the guy in Vegas,
hotel.
that had the automatic weapon at the hotel.
He had a sniper.
I thought it was an automatic. Either way, but still, these are like, how do you stop? So it's either you stop the person with a gun coming into a building. In that case, you can't really stop him. He's in a hotel. It's an open area. Or you stop the people getting that type of gun.
Well, you can do a little bit of both. Like I said, I have no problem in them. In some
right, yeah. I mean, just give me something. So, Emmy's in the waiting room. Let's pull her in. See what she has to say about this. We'll go ahead and pull her in. But it's just something has to happen.
What firearm did the guy use? I'm trying to find that right now.
I thought
there has.
I thought.
I don't know, but go ahead.
He had two, right? There was two.
Yes,
okay.
I know one was a handgun, but I don't. But I don't know if they specified what his second weapon was.
Right.
There's been a lot of assumption that
I'll say, and to find out if it's the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just give me something.
Is she deafened?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I figure we can just go and box.
Yeah, like you said, Doman, there needs to be something.
Well,
there needs to be, because
type of a rifle.
Because it's and I think and again, I may be biased in my reasoning with this because I have that exact age of children. It was kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying anyone deserves to die, but I don't know which one you said it. They can't even defend themselves.
Right.
Yeah, about them.
What the heck is a child gonna do against a grown adult, let alone an adult with freaking guns?
Right.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
And people want the teachers to carry and whatever, and I'm not even against that. But some teachers, like some people, in my opinion, should not carry guns because
Agreed.
there are YouTube videos to show you why. And people that think them are funny, like I literally made a post about it not too long ago. I'm like, y'all dumbasses, like that isn't funny. Like some dude that
not even the
gave
slightest.
gave his 8-year-old kid a Uzi that climbed, and then that kid shot his own dad and shit. Like, that shit isn't funny. Like, what?
That's heartbreaking.
What are you doing, man? Like,
Right. Answering Hector's question, I'm not sure if that's 100% right. From what I heard was he posted on Facebook that he had killed his grandmother and that he was going to go do that. I'm not sure
no,
if
I read that too.
if the report is correct that he actually did that. I don't know.
I just read that today.
I'm not on Twitch. I'm not on Twitch again. What did the comment say? Or can we not say it on?
He said, "Is it true he killed his grandma before this?"
That is correct. That has been reported by multiple sources that his grandmother was the first victim. There was also, I tried to fact check it at other sites as well, but I guess that he sent messages to an undisclosed person that he was about to go do what he did at the elementary school.
Right.
So I don't know.
That undisclosed person wasn't able to. Hell, he probably didn't tell him what elementary school.
Or in time. I mean, I'm sure wasn't a, it was on the way there.
Here's kind of a branch off of that. Like, he texts this random person. Well, I'm sure it's not random. It's obviously somebody he knows. And this guy just kind of doesn't do anything with that information. That guy should probably be sitting on trial somewhere too, then,
absolutely.
Right?
Like, well, if nothing else, the guilt of 18 kids and 2 teachers. I'm sorry. Was it 2 or 3? I don't want to misquote.
I heard 21 people.
That's what I heard too.
Plus the shooter.
Okay, that's what was my question. Was it 21, including the shooter, or 21? Okay, so 20. So 18 kids and 3 adults, then, right?
Right.
See that? And then here's the really crap part. I think I said it as well. But the shooter is now dead.
Right.
He'll never have to face.
I was going to make a point about that because one of Doman's things, I believe, was there has to be stricter penalties. Like, some of these guys don't give 2 shits.
True.
No.
Like, they're going in it knowing they're just going to fucking die. So how do you penalize somebody? But then again, I guess that's only a handful that potentially are committing these crimes. And if you have that threat above you, maybe your conscience keeps you from acting up or whatever. You know,
maybe it keeps a third or 2/3 of these from happening.
Yeah. I get it.
Maybe
I didn't think that off.
Maybe it's maybe it doesn't. Maybe they all don't happen. Cece has said here the grandmother was in the hospital in critical condition, and the person that he texted was in Europe. So
wow.
I mean, still, I don't know what the point of that text was, but obviously he.
Did he disclose the school he was going to?
He texted the girl in EU saying he was going to do that to his grandma, and then texted her saying he was going to go to a school. So, I mean,
here's what I'm saying, chat. If you're receiving texts like that from somebody, you need to send it to the police.
100%.
Like, whether they're joking or not, that shit needs to go to the police. And if it's not, you got blood on your hands too.
If it's
maybe unpopular opinion.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, it's 100%
whether
right.
it's a text, whether it's a DM, whether it's something they post on Instagram
or
like
say
Snapchat,
it ain't funny.
It
ain't funny anymore. Yeah, so if that's your homie of 18 years, if they're sending you shit like that, your homie needs to be checked.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true, Hector. And I don't know if we'll ever know if that's true. So.
To what degree do you hold the parents responsible for this? Is a question that I've heard floating around quite a bit today as well. What would you hold the parents of this 18-year-old responsible in any way?
I don't think so. If it was the parents' firearm that wasn't properly locked up, yes.
That was the argument for one that happened earlier this year, wasn't it? That
there's parents on trial right now.
The one in
Michigan. Thank you. Yes, the one in Michigan where he uses parents' firearm, right?
Yeah, lock your shit up, bro.
Agree 1,000,000%. That one I do put on the parents. This one,
my shit's locked up, bro. My shit's got trigger locks, and my shit's all locked up. My kid can't get to my shit.
And I commend you for that, man, because that's so important to you, because you are the responsible gun owner to not just I'm gonna make sure that I know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna make sure that no one in the house has access to it. That's the full spectrum
Right.
responsible gun owner. And again, you are not the people I want to take guns from. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, and
Right.
I'm not even saying I want to take guns from anybody, but
People just
that's-
need educated. They just need to do
Yes.
shit. The stuff. Is it going to stop the criminals? No.
No.
But will it take a big bite out of this shit?
absolutely,
Fuck yeah, it will.
absolutely, it will. 100%. Any action
Like,
will immediately.
We're not going to save the fucking world, and every gun shooting's just going to disappear. Like, and I don't know why people act like that. Like, I'm
Right.
not trying to solve every fucking single one of them. I'm
Right.
just trying to stop a good portion. Like, if I can take a quarter of a bite, we'll start there,
Yeah.
and then
Stop
we'll work
the next
on a
one.
bigger bite.
Stop the next one.
What do we say in the medical world? For any type of injury or any type of trauma, what do we do first? Stop the bleeding.
Stop the bleeding. Right, for sure.
Stop the bleeding.
We
And
ain't got to
then
eat the whole cookie in one bite.
Exactly.
Bro. We ain't got to eat the whole
Exactly
cookie.
right.
That's all I'm
Nope.
saying, and people don't understand that.
Right. Let's address. And again, that was my point too. Again, I don't want to wrap all of gun violence into this debate.
Yeah.
My specific target is school shootings.
Absolutely. You
And-
can't throw it into one big pile of shit and go fix it.
You cannot. You're 1,000,000% right.
There's,
Cannot. Do we have
Too many-
Emmy yet? Is Emmy online?
Yeah, she's in the
just chilling.
Discord. She's deafened.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
so what do you do, like, as the government? You have to create, like, a fucking... Like, we had, a COVID task force, or I don't know what it was called. You have to create, like, a specific force, right?
yeah,
Like a school
yeah.
shooting force. It doesn't have to
Yep.
be...
Doesn't have to be
Firearm
I would say school safety. I would just say
Safety,
school safety
yeah.
is what I is
like,
what I'd put
where
under.
is that where is that genre, or where is that task force?
And,
like-
and not only I know that we're coming to the end of school year. Like my son, his last day of school was today. We have an entire
Great,
summer
that's what I was gonna
to
say. You got
figure it
months.
out. You know what I'm saying? Like
You
this
got
needs to be
months.
yeah, well, this needs to be implemented day one of the 2022 fall semester.
For sure. And it could be something simple. Just make a move.
Yes.
We gotta make a move.
Yep.
And it just doesn't get done, right?
And I think that's where we finally hit that brick wall of, we can talk about it, we can do this, but we always hit that brick wall of now we got to rely on those who we elected to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And what do? Sit down, dwiddling their thumbs. Not like I guess that's the question. What do we do to put pressure on them?
I've not paid attention to what people in politics are trying to do or saying right now, so
Well, you have, like you said earlier, you have the ones who have the agenda to get guns banned are using this as the example to further their agenda, right?
on everything. Not just
Yeah.
this. Like, they're gonna
Not
use
just
it
this,
for
no.
every fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right. And vice versa. I mean,
Yeah, and that's both sides of the aisle. 100%. Both sides of the aisle do it.
I agree 100%.
And again, I don't care. And for me, this is bigger than a Democrat-Republican issue. This is an American citizen issue.
Right. As all these issues, as for how our fucking government is set up, that was the point of having two sides, so we can meet in the middle where the Americans live.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we're just, for some reason, our government just has to pull all the way their way and not bend.
Yeah.
And it's trickling all the way down to the common citizen now, because now it's not every common citizen, obviously, but a lot of your citizens now are just all the way red
Yeah.
or blue. So it's
Yep.
like,
Red or blue, and if you're not with us, you're wrong. There is
Right.
no, there is
Right.
no, I can't see your side because of your affiliation, which is disgusting. That's not how it should be. You should be able to sit down with someone who doesn't think like you, or even doesn't look like you, doesn't come where you come from, and
Right.
be able to have commonalities even in your differences.
like them two gentlemen that are gay that like to smoke marijuana on the weekends should be allowed to shoot their guns if they're keeping them all fine and dandy.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? I make so many people mad because I'm in Kansas. It's a very much Republican state, and so
Yeah.
when people ask me about my stance, I said on any issue, I stop them dead in their tracks. I said, nope, here's where I stand. I believe gay couples should be able to raise their adopted children and grow their
Right.
marijuana in the backyard while they protect it with their assault rifles. That's where I
Absolutely.
stand.
If they're doing it right, like,
Yeah.
and they're not harming other people, and they're minding, and they
Right.
keep
live your
yeah,
life.
like-
Yeah, you
Live-
do
as long
you
as you're
do
not
you,
harming
boo.
someone else.
exactly.
Yeah,
that's
there you
what
go.
Bob always said.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's
You-
the
it.
quote.
You do
Do
you,
you,
boo.
boo.
Like, as long as
I
you ain't
love
hurting
that.
nobody else, and it's
Yep.
not hurting anything or
Nope.
threatening anything. You do you, man. It ain't my
100%.
business.
And
100%.
and even going back to the mental health thing, man, like I don't know what it is with the mentality that getting help is getting help is right. It shouldn't be.
And
I've taken therapy. I'm currently in therapy.
it's
There's
frowned
nothing
upon
wrong.
on any playing field. Like
Yeah.
that can
Like a
even go into
weakness.
addiction. Like you're just looked at as a piece of shit, even if
Yeah.
you're trying to go get help. Like
Now,
You're a mil-
oh, go
that
ahead.
ends up a whole nother conversation. So
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
not trying to open that.
no, you're okay. You're
Go
good.
ahead.
You're good.
But
yeah, that's
is
Go
it
ahead, Bob.
frowned upon here as much? Is it frowned upon elsewhere as it's frowned upon here, or is it
what,
more standard procedures, standard operations that okay, mental health, gets addressed as opposed to here it doesn't get addressed.
see, I feel like we need Greenfly here, but I'm pretty sure, like in the UK, like
That's
just,
part of
let's
their
just
insurance,
speak in, like
I think.
like it's in
Yes,
their
it is.
insurance.
Yeah.
Like they get mad mad time off of work, like personal health
I'm
day. Like
here, party popper.
I don't want to speak
party
because I don't
popper,
know the
party
extent of
popper,
it, but I
party
know in
popper,
the UK,
party popper,
like their
party
just
popper,
time away from
party
work
popper,
is
party popper,
extremely
party
better
popper,
than the US.
party
It's
popper,
just like
party popper,
it's
party
just a
popper,
Eons
different
better,
party
culture.
popper,
Yeah,
party
it's
popper,
like why
party
can't
And
we
popper,
take
I will say
things
that
that
word
they're
better.
doing right?
Yeah, it's better. It's just better. They figured it out.
Right.
They understand
America
that.
is one.
Yeah, I
Brittany's
mean,
right.
Right.
don't get me wrong. Is there any other country I want to live? No, I don't want to live anywhere else besides the U.S. But while I'm here, I want things to be better, right? Like,
I don't think I'd make that statement, but feel free. If I had, if money wasn't an object and I could just go, I would not be in the U.S.
you'd be
That's
out.
for
Where would you go?
I don't know.
And for
Just
what
as a-
reasons? What we?
Yeah.
What
It'd be more than just depression. It'd be just some of it would be with like scenery, like I want to be near the ocean. Australia comes to mind right quick because I like the outback thing. I like the whole coral reef shits down there, and something like that would come to mind. Just cornfields and American attitudes are just kind of turned me away from America. Personally, but Dennis, have you spent you definitely know you wouldn't ever want to live anywhere else. Have you ever spent like an extended amount of time with a different culture in another free country?
In a free country?
We're not the only free country, right?
I do know that. To be honest, I haven't spent a lot of time in free countries.
See,
No.
I feel like
So, and
That's
so
like
I
a
will
knee-jerk-
I will retract that statement. You are correct. I will because I haven't experienced life in other free countries around the world. So no, you're right. I retract that statement.
like I have not experienced Australia, but I sure the fuck would like to. It can't be worse than what I'm doing right now. Or not to say what I'm doing is dog shit. Not to say that I'm like some poverty-ridden position in my life or anything like that. I'm just saying I would like to test the water somewhere else maybe for a little bit and see what's going on. Yeah. And a lot of people will turn that, oh, well, if you don't like my country, get out. Like
Fair enough. Bye.
it's not a that's right. That's what it's usually met with. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not about that.
But bringing it back around to what we're talking about, if you had to go to another country, Australia, you mentioned that,
yeah, that would be one.
but you had to give your guns up because of their gun laws.
That's fine.
Why? Why is it okay not to have guns there? Because it's scenic and you're by an ocean? but
No, I'm just.
you need to have guns here, and not necessarily you, but just in general. Like,
I mean, yeah, I get it. If I had to make an argument, I'm sure I'd pull up stats and see how many shootings. If I had to make a valid point, I'm sure I could. Like, I guarantee you, if I pulled up stats of how many people randomly get shot in an Australian school, it would dwindle, or
Yeah.
it would be way less than what I'm running into right now.
that's what I'm
You see
saying, because of the gun laws. I
Right.
mean, I think that's at the heart of it. That's what the thing is, because of gun laws of other countries. They
Yeah.
don't have, because they have, like I said it before, they have mental health problems. They
Right.
have racism. They have sexism. They have, a
Kangarooism.
Kangarooism. They have a husband, mad at his wife because she's cheating on him. Like, they have
Domestic
anger.
violence.
Yeah, they have
Yep.
anger issues. Like, they have that, but they don't have.
Oh, they got wildfires.
Yeah,
in
right.
Australia.
And they got koalas, but they don't have the gun problems, and they don't have the mass shootings because
They don't have. They have stricter gun laws, or what? I don't know what Australia gun laws is. Obviously, none of us know. We need disguised owl in here right now, but
Or a
Right.
red too.
or red too, because and that's why I was like, oh man, we need somebody like Greenfield. Like, we need outside perspective. We need to have this conversation again with some other countries, like perspective of how they do things. Because without looking it up and reading, I have no
well,
fucking clue.
he kind of gave us an idea of what it was last week.
Greenfly,
You
yeah, they
know.
basically have nothing.
Like, he's like, you don't
They have
have
to
a gun.
go
Like, you can go,
somewhere
like
and
you can
rent.
go and shoot a gun at a range, but you can't own it.
Yeah. So who are
So-
the people at the range that can own it? And so it's
Yeah,
just
it's-
like going and training with like.
It's probably massive training and massive background checks. It's probably not a 24-hour background check. It's
Turnaround
probably,
time, yeah.
It's probably
So-
months or weeks of training, and
Are they like civilians that own guns? Are they only like
Military
categorized
trained, or-
as like a trained civilian? Like what? Because obviously somebody in the country has guns.
right.
What puts me to where I can have a gun? Like, I have no problem with the training, but what's it distinguished as or whatnot? Because that's where I'm at here. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers just need to go through a course,
Right.
like
Yep.
hunter safety course, but a course, and this shit can be free for all I care. It just needs to be required. And just like driving a car, right? We don't just throw our fucking kids in cars and go. And there I am doing the same thing that the pro-life people do. I'm comparing it to something that is different. But
You're right. man.
But you see what I'm saying? It's like
We understand your analogy that you're trying to make. It's okay.
in any type of certification to do anything, you got to go get a certificate. You have to train. You have to do the testing. You have to learn it. You don't like the way the U.S. works right now. I can literally go to a gun show and buy basically any firearm I want with no background check.
None whatsoever. Yep.
That's the problem. Our gun shows are one of the biggest problems. I can go buy one off fucking Hillbilly Rick Dick for $22.95 and be out firing that sumbitch in the yard tomorrow
Well,
morning.
And then gun shows, yes, but here in Kansas, you don't even need to have a receipt or bill of sale for exchanging guns.
Right.
right?
And that's what a lot of people on the low do. But
Yeah.
that, in my opinion, that shouldn't be like that. Like it needs to be like registered in the car or like a vehicle. There needs to be a database. And
Yeah.
it's not so the government can come snap your weapons off. It's just
But that's
it
why
kinda puts
people
them
think
under
that.
control.
But that's
Yeah,
what
I know.
people think.
You're
And-
right. You're right.
Right, because they think, well, if they know I have 7 guns, then they
They're
can come.
coming to get
They're
'em,
coming to
and
my
they're
house,
not.
and I only give them 3. They know I
They're
have
not.
4 more. I buried them in the backyard. But they're
Right.
not. They're not. They just want to make sure that they're legally, and,
Obtained.
and this is the
Right.
whole.
And
you
you
know,
went through the vetting to get it.
Yeah. I mean, you're legally allowed to have it. I mean, you can drive a car without a license,
Right.
but
If you get caught, that bitch gets impounded, right?
right, and that's what I'm saying. The the penalties for the abuse of the gun law needs
Right.
to be just higher. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, if you illegally
it
have
just-
a firearm, I know that if you're a felon, if you have a felony, you can't have a firearm. You know, I know.
It's illegal to have a gun if you're not like.
Yeah, I'm
felon.
pretty sure. If you're a felon, if you have a felony, you are not
Well,
allowed to have a
I
firearm.
know. I'm saying if you're not. I
Oh,
know
right.
you can't.
But what I'm
I'm saying
saying,
if
but
you're
but if you're caught with that, what's the penalty for that? It's probably a
Oh,
fine and
okay.
maybe 6 months in jail. Okay,
Community service. or some
Yeah.
shit.
So
it just needs stricter gun laws, stricter
being caught-
punishment.
being caught with an unregistered weapon,
Yeah.
in your name is anywhere up to 24 to 36 months imprisonment, and it is a felony.
Okay, that's okay. So now you're at, you're a felony and 2 to 3 years in prison.
Yep.
So now you get out of prison after say 2 years, and now you have a felony, and now you go get another gun in possession.
Good
Now
point.
what's the penalty for that? For having a possession of a gun with a felony. While you look up that, let me say, my opinion is the mental health in America is at an all-time low. I think mental health is the biggest issue today, and it is. I mean, it is. I don't know about the biggest issue, but it is a huge issue.
Yeah. None of us disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
Yep, I put it. Yeah, I agree 1,000,000%.
So are you
there's
checking that?
also-
Are you checking that up for me, Dennis?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
But there's
Uh,
also more to it than that. Like,
Yeah, it's not just mental health.
you
I
can't
mean, just
stack
'cause
it on that.
you have to ask. You have to get the help. Like, you have to get the help, or somebody has to recognize that you
Canadian view.
that you have
This is
the
good.
health.
A felon charged with possession of a firearm may face a prison sentence of up to 25 years, depending on the felony class.
Yeah. Never do. Never do. Unless they've actually shot a motherfucker.
Right.
But they never will. I don't know if I already said this. I seen some random post of this, and I haven't thought it very thorough. But I was like, oh, that's not a bad gig. What if you had to insure your firearms like you
I've
would a
read-
vehicle?
I think I read that
Like-
same thing you did. Yeah.
Like that? Like insurance agencies would literally. But then it's like, because you're just always gonna get in the argument of criminals will just won't insure their guns or whatever. So it's like I've not thought about this very thorough. This is just me vomiting
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I
The
read earlier.
people that follow the rules now, aka crazy, are gonna follow
Yeah,
the rules
right.
then. But
I'm gonna insure my gun and I'm gonna do what I have to do, right?
yeah, so I can
but-
still own it, but it's about keeping the guns out of the hands of the people that shouldn't be getting them, is what the issue is.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that insurance thing potentially wouldn't be very helpful.
Right.
Unless it's like, and then even if it's the kid taking his parents' guns, they're insured. So I guess the victims would get some monetary reimbursement, right? But I mean, not to say that is any way closing the hole that was just ripped through them. But
Right.
again, maybe it's a bite of the cookie. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
let
one
me-
of those. It's one of the. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Lemmy said he's grown up with a 22 and never had a thought of going around shooting people. Well, that's a good thing. But what in Canada? What is the law? Like,
Yeah, what's
what
the rules in Canada?
What do you have to do to get a gun? Can you get, I guess, multiple guns? Can you get high ammunition? I mean, if I'm saying the wrong word, somebody correct me. But like high caliber ammunition, can you get fully automatic or automatic guns? Like, what can you get? And what do you have to do to get these guns? Because I
In the
feel
States, I'm
Can-
pretty sure you have to.
yeah, I
have a
feel
license
Canada's
to get
way
anything
different than us.
full auto.
Canada's probably like the UK. Like, gun laws are probably pretty strict in Canada.
Yeah.
Jump through
I
a
believe-
million
I believe-
hoops and you can. Right.
Yeah. I will say also one thing.
Right.
I know Shaquille O'Neal said last night is that, some of the unspoken rules, and I'll say it to you too because I know we're similar in age group and generation. Some of the unspoken rules are now being broken. Hey, don't involve kids. Don't involve anyone's moms. You know what I'm saying?
All the
Like, don't-
firearms and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, no kids. If you got beef with me, let's handle it out. But don't involve kids. Don't involve moms. Anything like that, right? It feels like those rules nowadays are just completely ignored. You know what I'm
And
saying?
then that's
Like,
going to go to people saying morals because we don't have God in our schools and blah. Like, it's going to, like, that's where that conversation goes. Here's a question where, because Lemmy says you got to jump through hoops, whatever. So I assume you got to register. So, like, guns aren't created equal, right? Like a 9mm ain't even. I don't care how many people on the conservative side want to say a 9mm ain't putting people down at the rate of the AR. You know what I mean? And I know it's
Agreed,
not
yep.
an assault rifle. I know that's not what it stands for. I know it's 223 5.56. Like, I know what the fucking gun is. I have one and I shoot it. I used to shoot it often. But there should be different. If we get into a part where you have to register your firearm, like the same time that it takes to obtain a 9mm or a hand pistol should be different than the time it takes for you to educate yourself to own an AR. See what I'm saying? There should be like maybe different tiers, like with a driver's license. You can have a driver's license, you can have a CDL. Like, the more training you get, the more bigger shit you can drive. Something like that. Why would that be such a bad idea for you?
I mean, that's actually a good starting point, I guess.
yeah,
For a standard handgun.
Hey, true.
And I think that's a good
Like-
starting point. And then as you gradually go up,
and you get familiar with the weapon. And
Right.
Just handling it.
yeah, I think
I literally think a big bite of this would just be to get rid of a lot of the school shooting and stuff is like 24-hour wait. Definitely background checks. A lot of places, like if you go to buy an AR, you're going to get a background check. Like they're going to go through that. But with that said, if you go to buy a fucking handgun, you can literally walk away with it a lot of places that day. And if you go to a gun show, you can walk away that day with an AR.
with
Cash
cash,
in hand.
with cash, right?
With cash, yeah.
So
the
there's
first thing,
no receipt. There's no record of your name.
in a lot of those
Right.
cases, no.
Right.
I would say
And-
almost in the majority of those cases, right? Crazy.
yeah.
I mean,
And-
it's been probably 5-10 years since I've been in a gun show, but from what I
I mean-
remember, there's really not any like proof of sale in a lot of
Is
those
there
cases.
going to be guys there that are being responsible and they're tired of this shit too, that are like NRA type guys? 100%. But
Yeah.
if you sneak up in there like, hey man, I'm trying to be off grid and the government and they're trying to bring me down, can I just deal with this cash? And there's 100% people there that'll just take your money and hey,
Yeah.
see you later. You know what I mean? But both ways. You get a background
Agreed.
check on a handgun.
Or at least
I got my handgun given to me, and I didn't have to do shit to get it, and that should be illegal. Like, granted, it was given to me for Christmas. Maybe my parents had to take a background check.
Well,
but
they,
I
they
know-
probably had to buy it, or they probably had to get a background check to buy it.
I know. And when I got my AR, I definitely went through a background check, and I had to register it too. So I don't know if maybe higher calibers you have to register.
But here's the point of this. I mean, not the point, but here's the next part of that. What does the background check do? If you're in this case,
Brings up
18
mental illness.
if it's reported,
Right, but potential. It's something. Again, we're back to that.
right?
It might be a nibble of the cookie, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because unless you've been in jail or stuff like that, have a record, that's what the background check is checking, I'm assuming.
right, yeah. And you're right. Like, somebody that ain't done shit yet can 100% come back clean.
Right. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
quickly.
but like you said, it is something. Like, we're not trying, we'd love to stop them all. We would love to. But if we could just cut them in half and a third, like you said,
Yeah.
nibble the cookie.
Yeah,
Maybe it stops next week's from happening.
And see
Yeah.
that's why there's never no movement, because it's like, hey, you should have to get a background check, period, for all sales of guns. Like, even if you're selling it to fucking, if Dennis is selling me a gun on the low, like, there should be a website where he can go vet me or something. And then if he doesn't, then it's on him too if I shoot somebody.
Absolutely.
Like there should be something.
And that,
And does that fix everything? No. And does shit
No.
still slide through the cracks? No. But like you
That-
just said, we nibble the cookie.
right, and that exactly goes with what Cherry just said.
It moves the needle, yeah.
That goes exactly what he says. To be honest, if somebody wants a gun, they can get it no matter what the laws are for them. There's always somebody willing to sell them. It's true.
Yep.
But then when that
We're
person
not
that
arguing
sold them are also responsible for what that person does, does it keep
No, like does Dennis, like if I go out and shoot 25 people, does Dennis take first degree murder or whatever the charge is? No, he doesn't. But he
Right.
takes some form of account
yeah,
for
involuntary
not vetting
manslaughter
me.
or
something.
yeah,
Like, does he get the chair? No, but he gonna pay the piper too.
right.
Absolutely.
So that makes him less liable.
Less likely to sell to me on the low.
Right. You would hope.
But I know you're right. Cherry's, we've already said.
Yeah.
Bad people going to get guns. Bad people going to get guns. That I feel like on this podcast we've not been talking about how to keep guns out of bad people's hands. We've been talking about how to keep guns out of just
Trouble.
these people that have never been criminals in their life, who are all of a sudden laying down 20 plus people. Like
Right.
Yeah.
that if there was a few extra hoops to get through, some of these people wouldn't have went through them.
They would
Like,
give
they're
up. They would give
Yeah,
up.
they're not going and finding Rodrigo on the streets and buying a fucking Uzi out of the back of their fucking Impala. You know what I
well,
mean? Like it's just not happening.
They would either have given up, or if the process is long enough, they're gonna slip up, and they're gonna
maybe
say something to
Message
somebody,
their friend and got some
You know,
help, or the authorities got
and then it stopped before it
Yeah.
happens. I mean, obviously, we'd never know how many shootings have been thwarted. You know,
For
Yeah.
sure.
but if there's more steps and longer process and stuff like that, I mean, then maybe, like you said, a little bite of the cookie. Maybe a third of them of what happens doesn't happen. The one next week
Right.
doesn't happen because that guy had to wait 2-3 weeks. By then, you know,
He was kind of over it.
he's
or
over it, or
found some
he's like, man, I really don't want to die.
thought it out.
You know, or I don't
Maybe
want
he
to.
was on it. Maybe he was on some drugs at that time.
Yeah.
And now he's not on it. You know, who knows?
Right, maybe just kind of, you know, yeah, like, I guess, what is is 24 hours enough for a waiting period? Is
That's-
it,
For a normal person, it is, but for a troubled, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, but, I mean, if I want to go get a gun, and they tell me, okay, you gotta wait a week for this to come back.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. What's up, Cameo?
Like, I literally.
What
Like,
we're
okay,
referring
whatever.
to, Dennis started the podcast today,
Don't
basically
refill my drink.
focused
I'll be
on
back.
the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. That's what we're kind of focused on, but we've kind of gone a little bit to multiple variations, like the shooting in California at the church, the shooting in Buffalo at the grocery store, and stuff like that. But we started the podcast because these are 10-year-old kids, 18 kids under the age of 10 or 10 or 12 or under, whatever it is. 10-year-old kids that didn't deserve anything like this.
Yeah.
Because-
Did nothing wrong.
Because an 18-year-old man stopped at an elementary school. You know, so that's where the conversation starts. And I think that's why there's so much outrage from Twitter was on one yesterday. As it should be. But people, influential people in the world, sports stars, movie stars, I don't want to say politicians, but people that have influence in the world were very vocal about this over the last day.
Ones who should be making decisions
Right.
on our behalf. Yes.
Right. So hopefully, as with the we push back 2 years, the George Floyd incident. Hopefully, because there was so much outcry from the public and from influential people in the public. Hopefully, as sad as this case is, hopefully something can come from this to help prevent the next one. Not sure about that. There's conflicting reports that she might be in the hospital.
I think Dennis said
he did. He shot, but then Cece said that she's in critical condition. So I'm not 100% sure.
Sorry, my fucking memory's broken.
I have to go run to the restroom real quick. If you guys want to continue the conversation, I will be back in a moment.
What I missed? I ran downstairs real fast.
I think also, yeah, because I mean that's, and again, it just hit home. It hits home to me. Again, because I have elementary age children. Yeah, I mean,
mine's a little bit older. Well, here's another big step, right? Like I'm sure if we sat down and put down our bullet points, me and you, we would not agree 100%, right? But
yeah, absolutely not.
As two fucking people that associate with each other, we can roll back and forth and bounce ideas off each other. And I mean, me and Bob has disagreed on multiple things, and we get along, we get through it, and we can always come to a resolution. Right. Like it's like conversation as people needs to stay away from, well, you're a fucking dumbass then if that's what you think. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like you might not I don't like your position on X, Y, and Z, and you don't like mine on ABC, but let's spitball this into something that we can both kind of go, well, that's all right, you know?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And that's, and I think that's the biggest problem. Too many people are not willing to have those conversations of people with not the same viewpoints. What they do is they surround themselves with people who are like-minded, same opinions, and they just feed each other's opinions even more, right? They're never challenged. Their morals are never questioned. It's I'm right and you're wrong, and if if you don't agree with me, you're demonized. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just,
I involve myself in this stuff all the time for fun online. Yeah, but with that said, sometimes it's just me kind of being trolly. If I had to sit down and have a conversation about things we should actually do, obviously, like I've been sitting here respectfully talking to everybody about what to do, but when it comes time to where I just want to fuck off and talk some shit, we do that too. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The mode from serious to have a good time, absolutely. I mean, it's easy as a light switch.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, I know you well enough to know that whatever you say is not meant as a personal slight. It's meant as, this is my opinion. This is why I think it that way. Right. And you don't think any less of me because I have a differing opinion. No, that's a level of respect.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, and I'm fine with it. Even sometimes I fuss and get animated. It's just kind of my personality. I'm really not that set off.
But again, that's fine. That's who you are. Like I don't want you to be like me or be like anyone else. I want you to be you. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And you get more perspectives when you run into different people in life like that, and just overall, that's literally the only way we're going to get through progress towards solving issues like this.
Yeah,
is taking it all in from the people that you're like you said. You're right. You gotta stop only talking to the people you agree with and like patting each other's backs. Like go talk to the people you don't agree with, but don't get pissed off at each other. Like go talk to the people where your views are opposites and figure that shit out.
Right. On a positive note, on my Twitter. I don't know how long ago it was, but one of the children did survive. Her name is Kendall. She was shot 5 times,
Wow.
and she made it out of surgery this morning and
So,
expected
like-
to make a full recovery. Holy crap,
That's
dude.
great. I don't like. I knew that happened. I knew there was a decent amount. So what was it? You said 21 total. 3 were
21.
adults,
3 were adults and 18 were children, yeah.
and all the kids. How many of
Oh, I'm sure there's more
Mhm.
injured also. We're talking
how
about the
many
ones
have
that
passed
died.
on?
All of those.
Oh, the one-
passed.
The- so
20
they were
21 people died.
21 people died. The 18 children, they were either 10 years old or younger.
Right.
Wow. And his what's motive was like I said I've not. What's his
The-
motive? He was depressed or made fun of at another school. Is that what
The
you guys?
the only thing I saw was bullying, and that he
Oh.
had a disagreement with his grandmother earlier in the day.
So he was bullied at another school and even
And he
maybe
ca-
potentially by his grandma. So he shot up his.
An elementary school. I don't
That was
know if
the
he had
answer.
any
Like,
affiliation.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
That's what. Was there a teacher there? That was his
Okay.
aunt or
I don't know if this is true, but Hector said that he crashed near the school, and that's why he went in there. I can't verify that. I didn't even see that anywhere, honestly. If that's happened, but that's what. I mean, it was just random, I guess.
which is insane.
Yeah. So, just real quick, I mean, I'm on Twitter, so since 2012, which was Sandy Hook, we had the 2021 in Michigan,
Yep.
4 people dead. We had Santa Fe, Texas, 10 people dead. We had in 2018. In 2018, we also had Parkland, Florida, 17
Yeah.
people, and now 2022, Uvalde, Texas, 21 people. So the last 10 years ago, for those that are older-ish, remember 10 years ago, remember Sandy Hook, remember the outcry. I mean, nothing's changed. Oh, Marysville, Washington, 2014, also 4 people dead, and then 1 there. So, I mean, yeah, it's, I don't know.
And freaking
It-
insane. Man.
Yeah, it's.
I'm just
So-
I'm
I'm
going,
not.
through,
Yeah.
I'm going through Twitter to
Yeah.
see if I can find any
Now-
numbers or anything.
As
Now
am
that
I.
we've talked about like who's or all these events that's happened, is there active people and politicians like trying to make moves? Like, if so, what are those moves? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's the ones that have always tried, and this isn't political or anything, but the ones that have always tried to do it are now pushing their agenda. Like,
Right.
like Beto O'Rourke interrupted the governor and got thrown out of the press conference. Because I believe Beto O'Rourke is a very strong person for gun rights. Like gun, not rights, but gun laws. I'm sorry.
NRA type of guy. I
Yeah.
mean, how much of the NRA in these guys' pockets? You get into that stuff. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Right.
All right, sounds good.
Somebody-
Terry.
so basically, what we need is somebody from the fucking NRA to wake the fuck up.
Right.
Oh, money! Too much money. Money is too much.
Money's more valuable than kids, is what's going on. Kind of.
That's their philosophy. 100%.
Or, and I said it already, but I'll say it again. The like everybody's, the Constitution is what they're gonna fall back on, and my Second Amendment right. And there's like, how does something like that get amended? Like, when the fuck was the Constitution written? Like, goddamn centuries ago.
1791, I think.
1791, yeah.
17 anything.
Yeah.
Like 300 fucking years ago, bro.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
the right to bear arms. There was literally a like a little like commercial type thing that I saw today of a guy going into a workplace, and this was probably from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Going into a workplace, to do damage to people. He goes in, takes a shot, misses him, but he's got a musket. So he's sitting there filling it with the BBs
Fly
and
powder
pushing
and
it
shit,
down.
yeah.
And, like, so
It's
literally,
probably a 3-minute reload or something.
right. So literally, like, everybody runs out of the office. So, but that's what the right to bear arms. That's what protecting yourself. That's what it was, in 1791. That's what
Right.
it was.
And
Like,
I'm not saying you shouldn't have the right to protect yourself. I'm just saying
correct.
there needs to be a footnote in there. The right to protect yourself, but you got to just do these couple things.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in 1791, I'm sure there weren't background checks. I'm sure
Right.
there wasn't mental illness. I'm sure there wasn't, anything like that. So now that we have the capabilities and the technology to have a database.
Yeah, literally, like fucking court cases have been overturned because of technology. Like DNA came out and solved cold cases. So it's like
Right.
as technology progresses, like I think Dennis said it earlier, the Constitution's a living thing. Because
Yeah.
what we would do now when fucking robots are running the earth for us and we just sit in our bedrooms and control them with our VCR tapes or whatever, like it's going to be different rules for them too. Like the way they govern. So the way that we should be governed should mold to the society we're living in.
Yes.
Right.
I don't, man, certain individuals are just hardcore with their Constitution stance, which is fine. Like, that's fine. But it was written for a different time, man.
Right. It
It's,
is. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think we've kind of got to the end.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
Of where
I
we're
agree.
at. Oh, I mean, I've already kind of said what I would do. And I know Dennis kind of started this with what he would do, but maybe with more information, like stricter. Well, I agree with Crazy, and I think we'll just go around maybe one time. I agree with Crazy. Stricter background checks, stricter mental health checks, and I think a longer waiting period to be able to get a gun.
it can be wrapped up with this
And
common sense.
I kind of like your idea of depending on the gun. If it's just a typical handgun, then maybe this long. If it's this, then you probably have to go
Yeah.
through some classes, and you can't legally to obtain a legal gun.
Right.
Because as far as we know, this was a legal gun. He legally bought this gun.
Right.
So that's my thing. I don't think putting more guns in schools is the answer. I think because once you do that, then it's going to go businesses, work, shopping centers, stuff like that. Then where do you stop? So and I think the fully automatic, semi-automatic, like that's got to go. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but that's my opinion. In my opinion, that has to go.
That's going to be, if that goes, everything's going, because like all your handguns are semi-automatic. That just means you pull the trigger once and then pull it again and it shoots again.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's like semi-automatic sounds like basically you want like single load stuff, and if you're going that far, you might as well just get rid of guns,
Right.
because 95% of the weapons are going to be semi-automatic.
Right. And like I said, bad people are going to get guns no matter what. That's my opinion. I think Crazy. We'll go with you, and then we'll finish off with Dennis.
No, I'm
What would
I'm
you do?
100%,
What would you do?
I am 100% pro gun. You're right. Like for those that don't know, I own multiple firearms. One of them being the notorious AR, right? And I love to go shoot it. But what I would do is really invest in educating motherfuckers, right? I'm tired of even if we're not talking about school shooting, I'm tired of watching YouTube videos where somebody's shooting a Desert Eagle with one hand and it's kicking back and hitting them on the face, and everybody thinks that shit's funny, because that ain't fucking funny, and that's why guns get a bad rep. Like, I want to go shoot a Desert Eagle, and I'm gonna hold it right, and I'm gonna expect the recoil. I'm gonna do it right. So we need to get rid of that shit. Like, education should be mandatory if you're gonna own a firearm, which goes into what Doman had spoke about. And the more education you get, the more elaborate firearm you can then own. So if you start out, you can go get you a fucking 38 stub nose special and shoot fucking Coke cans, and that takes a few hours of shooting range, a little bit of education, and then you can go all the way up and get your ARs if you put in the time to learn about it, learn how to store it, learn how to keep it out of your kids' hands, etc., etc., etc. So I'm pro guns. I'm also pro education about guns. Would be the first bite I would want to take out of this person. That would be my stance, Dennis.
Sure. And I mean, there's, I like I said, I don't think there's anything that I've disagreed with any of you guys on today. I think I'd still stand by my knee-jerk reaction. If I were if I were POTUS, I would create an executive order creating a department underneath the Department of Justice for school safety, which would allocate funds, resources, and a federal officer, at least one, if not two, to every single school in America. That would be my response, because not just funds, but also resources and people. Where would we get those people? Glad you asked that. I would actually, the first people that I would try to sign that to is any military service member who is exiting the military or coming back from deployment. I feel like a lot of the times we lose a lot of those guys mentally because they don't have a sense of what am I doing next. That could help with that transition period. That's my long-winded answer of what I would do next.
Then funding becomes an issue, right?
Yes and no. But that's another argument for another day.
Yeah, there's funds anywhere.
We sent how much money to Ukraine?
Yeah, but that's a whole different issue. That's in a different pocketbook.
I know, and right, those funds are allocated for that specifically. So no, I get that 100%.
Because it ends up being like a levy that needs passed for the school, and everybody's taxes goes up. So you end up with a different issue.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that 100%.
Which I'm not trying to start another.
No. I get 100% what you're saying, man. You're good. That's where I would go. That's the direction I would take. I know that's very long-winded, so I apologize, but that's the direction. After thinking 24 hours, that's what I would go. If I had the ability to make that decision. And again, that's just for school safety. That's not the bigger issue.
Yeah, right. That's cool.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you spotlighted it. I think me and Bob kind of went broader than you did.
For sure.
So now I feel like I'm out of the loop because I agree with everything. I don't know if I would go that way. I think if we're just gonna look at a school, I think the first part I would go is I don't even know if my focus would be 100% guns, more to effectively lock down the facility.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like I said, when you mentioned that earlier, I was on that. I was on that.
It's the cheaper. It's the cheaper option. It's the option that's not going to get the backlash.
Yeah.
And not to say that some type of gun control doesn't need to be regulated. I'm just saying the little bite of the cookie, in my opinion, is how to effectively keep these motherfuckers away.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we've had a good discussion.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks for letting me come on.
Our next podcast will be in a week and a half. I feel that there'll be something executive ordered by then.
I would hope, yeah.
Because I've seen POTUS's tweets today and last night. Very stern, very.
Fill me in. Who's POTUS?
Biden.
Oh,
Joe.
United States. Gotcha.
Yep, President of the United States. Yeah. Sorry,
Derp.
that's the acronym. I apologize.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm dumb as fuck.
I believe that there'll be something.
So you think it's going to be something brought from like a federal level?
I think
quickly?
he's going to mandate something, whether it's
Okay.
mandate this or that, or mandate that calling the senators, like Dennis had even started with, calling the senators and the representatives back and have them, like,
Work
you
something.
guys got to work something
Yeah.
out here. Something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Something, and we all agree with this. Something has to change because
Something.
this is happening way too often. It
Yep.
is a shame of the age group that it happened to. You know, I don't have kids,
And it's something
but
and
it-
it's something
it
we don't want to
does-
get numb to.
Yeah, right. It does. It does.
And
hit-
that happens, right? For sure. Like,
right.
you're like,
You're
oh,
like,
well,
okay, another one. You
it's
know,
just another one.
It
for
wasn't.
sure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't. But like you, like you said, you just hope it doesn't ever happen to you or anybody that you know.
Right, and
Um,
that's a terrible. I mean, I know that's a human issue more than anything else. That no one cares till it finally happens to them, you know. But
Right. You're 100% right. But and you don't get change until the people that it didn't happen to start barking.
start make exactly.
Right.
Yep.
But that'll do it for us on the Still Talking podcast, a special edition
Yep.
of it. Thank you to Dennis for leading the discussion tonight. Thank you to Crazy Hick for joining us in the discussion.
That was fun.
We will be back for the next podcast soon. We appreciate everybody tuning in and giving their thoughts throughout chat
Yes.
and throughout
Thanks for all the
this.
feedback. Yeah.
And we will definitely. This isn't done because we'll probably talk about
No.
this again.
100%.
We're a small part of this cog, but we're going to tell you how we feel, whether it's controversial or not. This is how we feel. Well, we appreciate
Yes.
everybody being here. Everybody stay safe. Have a good one.
Adios.
My God,
Peace
are
is
you
out. This
still
one's going
talking?
viral, Bob.
It's
Awesome.
viral.